Hey kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 217. This week was Jay's pick, the Jerry Springer documentary on Netflix.
Man. Let's go.
Before we get into the story of how this thing all went down and our memories of it and watching it and all that stuff, I can say definitively at this moment in our history, having lived through that portion and now where we are, that literally this was the beginning of the end.
For reality TV?
For just everything
Civilization?
in society.
Okay.
Like
that was the Mayan calendar talked about this.
I literally think like Jerry Springer's show, not him specifically, but he was complacent in it. And
Downfall of America.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but like, yeah, you look at all those people in the newsreels that are fighting it and are like, this is trash, this is horrible. Dude, that's nothing compared to what you can see on
so
TV,
was that
online.
Was Jerry Springer the gateway drug to where we are today? And then with just
I guess
everywhere?
Yeah, I would say like I don't. Other than that, like
where else could you see people punching people on TV,
making out with horses?
Yeah, that too.
I mean, again.
This led to all of the Cash Me Outside girls. This led to everybody.
Insane, but
Haktua girls, everybody.
But you also have to give credit where credit's due, and it goes to that producer who said, you know what, everyone that fought him on everything, but inevitably they beat Oprah in the ratings.
That was the craziest part.
But you got to keep in mind, he tells you this in the documentary, that it's a double dip. So they get to count it twice. So Oprah only ran like, 3 in the afternoon or something. Right. There was no replay. But Springer would do 10 or 11A and then 10 or 11P. And so they could double dip from those.
Kind of like two guys I know that double dip
like
their show at Dark Side of the Stream on 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Rip It Apart Wednesday. But you can't double what you don't have. So ours is lower.
We're doubling an empty glass.
We're doubling the Office of PETA workers, and then that's pretty much it. But again, that in itself is the thing I just kept coming back to over and over and over again, is how exploitive our culture has gotten. Not just the show and what they did to people, that literally, like the producers would say, every phone call was like, I hope Jerry can help me. And they're like, okay. Did you not watch the show? Has he ever helped anyone Not one time where someone like, thank you, Jerry, for solving this affair situation or figuring out who the baby daddy was. Or
wasn't that another show though that came after that when the baby daddy went, you are not the father, Jay. You are not the father.
But even that stuff is still exploitive. It still is. And now you look at where we are in social media, and you got kids exploiting themselves
on TikTok,
on Reels, on YouTube, and they're literally exploiting themselves, eating like that one kid that ate a slug on a dare and died, right? Like exploiting, like going through the mall and randomly punching someone just for views. This all is a result
of this guy,
of the idea that we can live in a world and be exploitive of people that might not be intelligent, that come from different social economic backgrounds, all that stuff, and we're just going to exploit them. And that's literally what this show was.
And it brings ratings. But we exploit Tyler.
Not on camera.
Oh.
But when we get back, we'll talk about the story of Jerry Springer next on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 217, the Jerry Springer documentary on Netflix. So I thought it was interesting to see how it all kind of came together.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
And they were right on the money. The producers knew the score. And Jerry, whether he admitted or not, knew the score too. If you were going to exploit these people and in their everyday lives, you had to lean on someone that was friendly and was caring, and that's exactly what they got with him. He's a career politician, right? His show before, the clips of the show before,
super nerdy.
It was like, man on the street kind of dumb stuff that no one really cared about. But then once they started doing this, it worked perfectly because the audience and the guest, whether or not they believed it, felt like this was someone they could talk to. And that was it. That's all they had to do. Now that all changed a few years in when he got busted having a multi-way with a couple of guests that were on his show. Which
hey, we've all been there.
Let's hear your take. We've all been there. I don't know about me, but
girls, you want to come in and talk about your stuff on the radio?
You guys want to know why Mike has most of the guests on the cave?
They stopped letting me have live guests after that incident.
We have to do a lot of vetting before they get to Jay's desk. But seriously though, your thought? I mean, like, first of all, where'd that camera come from? Because the pictures of him in bed with those chicks, like it looked like it was like you see like sting videos, the FBI setting you up, buy a bunch of drugs.
Oh,
that's
I know.
Literally like, did they go in there with the intent to try and set him up?
It seems like it, for the.
And on top of that, and this is a thought I had, who would have the most to gain by setting up Jerry Springer?
Oprah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Because the way it's shot, it's like those chicks, and you saw the episode, and they're, they look like adult entertainers and whatever. That's great. They are what they are. But
nothing wrong with being an adult entertainer.
The shots are like literally like a sting. So those girls were paid to set him up all day.
Well, yeah,
by someone.
I'm going to say the producers of Oprah, perhaps something like that. I mean, do you think Oprah was mob boss at one point? So
ultimately, it blew up in her face. I mean, that's a whole.
Something blew up in somebody's face.
Well. The Oprah thing made me so mad because they had her on camera talking about how the show is vile and all this stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, you introduced us to Dr. Phil, you introduced us to Dr. Oz, you introduced us to that guy who wrote Million Little Pieces who lied about his whole story, and on top of the fact that you own a home which you literally like closed out all the major roads to and from.
Did she really?
If you look it up, she like basically blocked off this whole area.
Tyler Perry too, right? Tyler Perry too.
This whole area, so people like that have to get from here to here, have to drive all the way around and so they can't go there. Because again, the entitlement from that woman, take it for a grain of salt. Okay, she's just, there's no difference. What I'm saying, she can be on her high horse all day, but Oprah, take a deep look inside. There's no difference between this guy and you at all. Bottom line.
There you go.
So now that I'm getting fired up
TV
about
talk
this,
show host.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but
you're no different.
There was a string of them that came after that, like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz,
and guess who introduced
Maury Povich.
Guess who introduced us to all those idiots?
Yeah.
Oprah.
Idiot. What's wrong with Dr. Phil? He's a great dude.
Exploitive. Again, that's my point. Is all these people, whether it's Oprah, Jerry, Steve Wilco, they're all exploiting people for ratings and gains and views, just like you see in reels and social media today. It's the same thing, but now we're all doing it. And we'll be back. Dark Side of the Street next. I'm 104.7 The Cave. Mike, the intern, Jay Stevens, back in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 217, discussing Jerry Springer. And so, inevitably, this show would blow up in their face. Not one, but two, at least, instances where two people,
I think everybody's familiar
lives.
with the murder of the murder that probably came from the show. I think people are.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. And again, that's exactly what you get when you exploit people.
Well, also when you're bringing wild, crazy characters on your show, you're dealing with some seedy characters.
Did it not get you pissed off when you were seeing all those producers like amp them up and going through?
Yeah, but I figured they probably did that because I've been on game shows and stuff before.
Well, okay. We're not talking about Jerry Springer anymore. Game shows.
They prep talk you.
Let's hear. Were you on The Price is Right?
No, I won the Singing Bee one year. You know this. We've talked about this.
No.
Yes, I won the Singing Bee one year. Yes. And they were like talking you up what you got to do. And then the second time I came back, they wanted to play my rock and roll-ish, so let me dress differently. The first time I had to wear a goofy shirt and stuff. Second time they're like, well, now we want to push your rock and roll image and stuff like that.
I did not
remember
know.
This? With Marsha Brady was on there and Little Richard was on there with me? No?
Nope. You got to hang out with Little Richard?
Yes. Well, barely. I mean, he was on the show.
He was the man. God, he was the man. openly gay man.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
he looked-
openly black gay man.
He had a lot of
in
makeup.
the 50s.
He had a lot of makeup.
Oh yeah, of course, who literally helped invent rock and roll.
Did
that
his
we
own
love.
thing, man. Did his own thing.
Talk about a trailblazer, and did not care
But
about
anyway,
anybody's opinion.
show producers, yeah, they get. Hey, we really want you to.
So you're on. I gotta look this up. I'm gonna find those
you're
episodes.
not going to find it.
I'm gonna
For
find
some reason, before it went to CMT. Once it's CMT,
You can find them?
then it has it. Those first few episodes, seasons, very hard.
I'm gonna find it.
I
I'm
wish you
gonna find it.
could. I
What
wish you
any other
could.
game shows you were on? Because you're in LA.
I don't-
If you just FYI, if you're ever in LA and you're down on Sunset and you're walking in front of the theater or
Oh,
any
they
other
look
place,
for audience, yeah.
there are literally guys
give
and
you
girls
tickets for the
walking around
audience.
with signs and pamphlets and are like, "Hey, David Spade's got a new talk
Yeah,
show
they need
coming.
to fill. They
We
need to
get,
fill the
I
audience.
literally can go see
No,
it.
this one they came around to karaoke bars to find singers for the singing bee.
So that's how they found
And a
you.
buddy of mine that ran karaoke said, "Hey, I got a buddy. I'll call him down there." And he called me down there, and I went and sang. And they're like, "Oh yeah,
What'd you sing?
Come audition." I don't know what I sang for that, but then I went to the audition, and I'm such a crazy character. They're like, "Yeah, you're in." And then they're like, "Okay, you're going to be in the audience. We're going to act like we're randomly picking you and this and that." But it was all planned out. It was But yeah, I went on there, and the girl that was like a 4-time winner or something, she was like had won all these episodes. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to be able to beat her. But yeah, I did.
Did you win anything?
I won 10 grand. Yeah.
Woo-wee! Pre-tax, Uncle Sam.
I don't think I paid tax on that. Come on, this is a young Jay. This is like a 2006, 2007 Jay Stevens.
I don't know if that's something I'd admit while the mic's being recording. Or
I think
being
statute of
filmed.
limitations is up, Tyler.
I don't think that really counts for tax, but we'll let you find out on your own. Again, this is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 217. We're discussing Jerry Springer, and we'll come back with our review of it next on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, discussing Jerry Springer. All in all, how many infomercials would you give this?
It's good. 4.
Yeah, I would give it.
I like the story. I didn't really know the whole backstory and the whole Oprah him feud, and that he took over Oprah's spot for a little while. It's good.
Made some money. Made a lot of money.
He was here in Branson for a while. Remember? We're doing a show in Branson.
He made a lot of money. Made a lot of money.
Died.
And
too.
again. Well, yeah.
Died.
And we didn't really talk about Steve. Steve ended up getting his own show, the Steve Wilkos show, and then he flipped a car and got DWI too.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I mean, don't drink and drive, kids.
Celebrity.
I'd say about 4. It's
good.
You know,
Nice.
it's crazy because I used to watch this show as a kid all the time. You know, because at 11 o'clock at night, you're up. There's nothing else on. Springer's on, and you know, as much as I would like to admit that I've always been like, no, that's not exploitive. I'm not doing that. I've grown up.
Yeah.
From that point, and now I see it for what it is, and I just would rather do something else. But again, I think a lot of the reasons we are where we are in this world, it starts with mid 90s TV, and but again,
Same with Girls Gone Wild. The other one, same
all
thing.
that
Yeah.
stuff is like they say, you know, art imitates life. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. So maybe it's not a media problem. Maybe it's a society problem.
It's an us problem.
Yeah. Either way, next week we're going to dive back in again to Netflix and do a documentary that Jay suggested for me because the couple that I want to do aren't out yet. And this is called The Lost Children. So we're going to try and find some kids in the Amazon.
That's the move.
As always, you can listen to us do this on my show at 9 in the morning, Jay at 6 on Thursdays. You can watch us do it live on Facebook at 9 a.m.
In
or
our
on
new
YouTube.
video studio,
In our
you can
new-
watch it. on
Jay's
video.
new
This
home
casting
away
couch.
from home couch.
You notice how this used to be a single seat. Now they made it a 2-seater for me, so I've got a little casting couch, ladies.
Come be Jay's guest on the next episode of Dark Side of the Stream. Again, I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens reminding you.
We watch
movies
documentaries,
so you don't have to.
to.
It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.